What's up, guys? Robin here. I'm coming to you live from my roof in New York City, so you're probably going to hear some background noise. It's mad windy, taxis, people are screaming on the street. I mean, whatever. We'll get through it. So some of you guys know me as RobinNYC. Some of you guys also know that I am a type 1 diabetic. I was only diagnosed 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years this coming February. And it's been a wild ride. I haven't really talked much about my diabetes, and it's not because I'm ashamed. It's just I spent most of my life not having to deal with this condition, so it doesn't come necessarily as top of mind when I'm talking and meeting new people or doing press, things like that. But I wanted to create this video in honor of all of the hustlers and warriors and soldiers who are dealing with this condition, because it can get gnarly and really, really frustrating. I was diagnosed after a trip to India, and I thought I had jet lag. I was feeling really dehydrated and lethargic, and I didn't understand what was going on with my body. And as an ultramarathoner and an athlete, I tend to have a pretty good body awareness and understand, how different foods affect my body, how different workouts affect my body. So not knowing what was going on was obviously scary. On a Monday, I got blood work. On a Tuesday, I had a meeting or an appointment with an endocrinologist. I had no idea what an endocrinologist was at that point. And then by Wednesday, I was on insulin. And I didn't know much about diabetes before my diagnosis. Turns out my pancreas just stopped producing insulin. My pancreas is on strike. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition, and there's no cure. Insulin-dependent diabetics will die without insulin. So this little device that some of you guys see in my pictures, and if you ride with me at Peloton, you see it, that gives me my insulin, and I can administer, or rather control, how much insulin I'm receiving with this little device that looks like an old school BlackBerry. I have like so many gadgets. I feel like the freaking bionic woman sometimes. But technology has really helped me lead a largely uninterrupted life as an athlete. So after that diagnosis, I think literally my first question was, how am I going to run a 100-mile ultramarathon? I couldn't even entertain the thought of not pursuing a life of sweat, which is what I left a law career of 7 years to do. So I sure as hell wasn't going to allow a pesky pancreas stop me from doing epic shit. So I wear that Omnipod. I wear also a continuous glucose monitoring device that gives me my blood sugar levels with pretty good accuracy every 5 minutes. That's this other little thing I carry. And that will alert me if I'm going too high or going too low. So I'll just give you a few tips that I've experienced. I think type 1 diabetes is just trial and error. What works for somebody else might not work for you. I'm not a physician. I'm just a crazy person who likes to run and sweat and bike and, train hours and hours and hours a week. So I'll tell you what's worked for me. The longest distance I've done since my diagnosis is a 50-mile ultra, and I'm training for a 100-miler right now. So we'll see how that goes. I just did the New York City Marathon, and thankfully I didn't have any crazy issues with my insulin, but 6 months prior I did Tokyo and my insulin pod failed, and it's just like every single race, you just don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes I get up to do a 5-mile run and I can't do it. Sometimes I do a 20-mile training run and my levels are perfect and I'm at 90 blood sugar the whole time, and sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. But I have found certain tricks that have helped me. When I'm doing a workout that's longer than 90 minutes or 2 hours and it's more cardiovascular, so not really strength, like running, obviously, or cycling, I usually reduce my insulin by about 40%, and that seems to keep me at a good level. I always run with something with sugar. Usually the little OJ boxes I'll put in my running pack, or coconut water if I don't need that much sugar, but I just need a little bit of a boost. I like the kitty size juice packs because it's automatic portion control. You diabetics out there who have hit lows know that you just become you could become a crazy person when you have low blood sugar, and it's really scary. The third thing that I do is I think I'm always using numbers. Like, I'm always mindful of the data. Like, I think that the technology has helped me so much that glucose monitoring device is very literally attached to my hip 24/7. And if there are diabetics out there who haven't explored, wearable technology as a resource, I really would recommend it. And I know that some of you guys were diagnosed, many, many years ago, before some of this stuff came to the market. And I can just say experientially, I'm not paid by any of these companies, that they really work. They really work in kind of getting your life back. Because sometimes it feels like it's completely out of sorts. I know for me anyway. It's really important for us to accept, I think, the fear that comes with being an athlete and having this condition. I have had runs where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't get sugar right now, I'm going to be laid out on the side of the road. I've also had runs where I was going so high for no reason, and it just made me, sometimes the frustration makes you want to throw your hands up, and I totally get that. And I really understand the parents of type 1s who have kids who, they play sports and you're scared and you want to keep them safe. I totally understand. I do. But I also know that a life lived in sweat is so much more powerful than a pancreas that doesn't want to produce insulin. We are capable of doing it all. I mean, I'll be frank with you, I plan on running across the country, and I'll be damned if diabetes is gonna stop me. So we'll try out this 100-miler in 2016 and move on from there. Oh, another thing I do is I carry clementines, like little oranges. Sometimes I'll just stick them in my sports bra because they're small and it's like just the amount of carbs I need sometimes on like a 10-miler. If a workout is a strength workout, I've done boxing and other like heavy weightlifting workouts that actually make my blood sugar rise because of the adrenaline. Emotions are a crazy thing when they're affecting your blood sugar. So I would definitely see yourself as a science experiment, because you're going to know yourself better, honestly, than any doctor. And we got to continue living our truths. And for me, that truth is a life of sweat and pushing boundaries. So I hope any of this was helpful, maybe, if you're watching. I actually know very little about this condition. I just know that I've pushed my body to the brink, and I'm going to keep doing it, because I would rather fail really big than not try at all. So just remember that. You are so much stronger than this disease. Shout out to my diabetes homies out there. You got this. Superheroes are real, because you're proof. So check me out, RobinNYC on social media, RobinArzon.com. This is a life lived in sweat. Now I just have insulin in my superhero toolkit. Thanks for watching, guys.